Today's video is going to be about signs that you've been parentified or signs of parentifying. And that may be a new term to you. It was to me for sure after I had been with narcissists, two of them. The first one, very, very covert, very subtle. And that's why the relationship lasted longer because it was so subtle, so demeaning. The little jabs and the little feelings of wondering why is this person who loves me, why did they do this to me or say this to me? And then, almost a decade after that relationship ended, and then the next one began shortly after, realized that was with a malignant narcissist, a sociopath. After that, I took a look at myself and realized there's something inside of me that's attracting narcissists and dismissing all these behaviors. I started learning about boundaries and started learning about parentification as well. So you learn about narcissists, you learn about codependency, you learn about empathy and empaths, and then you begin to take a look within yourself because you realize you're the common denominator in this. And you may think, well, I'm not a child anymore. I'm a parent now myself. And so, what is this parentification thing? But as you're on your journey to discovering, to healing, and you may be using a variety of different modalities to get there, uh, wondering what's wrong with you and starting to see these signs that you have been parentified. And a lot of these come up with clients that I work with. I specifically work using hypnosis and using what's known as rapid transformational therapy. One element of that is hypnosis because it allows you to get into the inner mind, the unconscious mind, where those thoughts, feelings, images, negative experiences, and sensations you've had from your past, from those past traumas, are stored, and then unlock them, essentially remove and release the impact that they're having on your life today. But if you're doing this conscious work, like watching videos like this and studying, you may have come across this term parentification or parentifying and realize that you were or are a result of having been parentified. That's what I realized. I had no idea what that term means. So today I'm going to share with you what signs of parentification are and how they can be impacting you today and what you can do to change it, to stop it, to fix it, all those things. So, signs of being parentified or signs of parentification are you don't really remember ever being a kid. I mean, I remember logically, I know I was a kid and I grew up and I know my mom and my dad and I played soccer. Sometimes people I work with, they say, Sarah, I remember everything about my childhood, like too much. I wish I could forget it. Or on the other hand, there's some people that say, I don't remember anything about my childhood. So it's like there's chunks missing, almost like when I think about it, like it was not there. It never happened. Uh, I've got both, and so I can connect with and relate to you if you share having both of those in different ways and different times. But if you don't really remember being a kid, if you feel like you were forced to just grow up and you felt like you were always the responsible one, the adult, you had to take care of everything in the household, parents were maybe alcoholics or checked out or absent, not there, maybe one parent traveled a lot for work and left with the one parent there with you, and maybe they were out and dating and doing all this stuff, whatever it was, you feel like you really don't remember being a kid. You felt like responsible in the adult because you had to be. If you have this feeling, that feeling self-reliant. There's another video I've done where I term it ultra independence or counter dependence, where you're very, very, very self-sufficient, independent, and self-reliant. And if that for you feels safer and feels better than trusting other people or letting other people in, that is a sign that you may have experienced parentification. Another sign is being complimented for being so good, so responsible. You're such a good kid. You're such an easy kid. I had a session with a client recently who every scene was, she was such an easy kid, and her sister wasn't an easy kid, but she loved her sister. Her sister was vocal, she spoke up, she was funny, she was outgoing, and mom told her, this client, at a very early and young age, you're so easy. I'm just so grateful for you. I'm just so thankful for you. And she remembers feeling, I can't be anything other than this really good kid, but I really want to be like my sister. I love her. She's funny. She's outgoing. But if I am, I won't feel safe. I won't feel loved. My mother won't accept me because my mom says horrible things about my sister. So you just feel, you get complimented for feeling like, for being told that you're a good kid, you're so responsible, you're so easygoing, I never had to worry about you. If your parents said things like that to you, that's a sign of parentification. Another sign is that you're given compliments or given responsibilities inappropriate for someone your age. Well, she felt at a really early age that it was her job to, and she was put in the middle of having to make sure that her dad didn't drink too much. Dad was an alcoholic. He would always go out and mom and dad would get in a fight, and mom put her in the middle of and responsible for making sure dad didn't go out and drink when they got in fights. Well, that's not a child's responsibility. But if you were given responsibilities inappropriate for your age or your role within the family, that's a sign of parentification, and it impacts all the choices and all the feelings you have when you're an adult. Uh, Another one is that it goes along with that. If you're pulled into arguments between two caregivers, and you're the one whose job it is to either get those caregivers to stop arguing or get them to not take certain actions, like not get in the car and go to the bar and just drink all night, or not leave and go somewhere else. Well, if you're as a child pulled into arguments between caregivers, that's a sign of parentification. And that impacts you long after and into adulthood, long after you're not a child anymore, and may lead to very emotionally unstable, abusive relationships, toxic, narcissistic relationships, because of these things that you had to be and learned to be and either could or couldn't do from your childhood. If you feel you like feeling in control and you just love it, you relish in this, and perhaps it's had you be very successful in your job, in your career, make a lot of money, and you love that feeling of being in control, and you will never ever put yourself in a position where you don't feel that you have complete control. This is why a lot of people, if they're being honest with themselves, will not try hypnosis, will not try hypnotherapy, because they have this illusion that they will lose control. And the mind is hardwired to take you away from, like, from pain and move you towards pleasure. Well, if you feel like you're going to lose control, that's going to cause a lot of pain, and so they won't go there. But hypnosis, you're in full control the whole time. All it is you going into your inner mind and checking out and getting out all of those negative, toxic, detrimental, heavy feelings and burdens and emotions. So you're actually in control now, more in control, because you're not being run by fear, run by anger, run by feelings of low self-worth or feelings of abandonment. You're not running away from feelings of rejection or betrayal. You're now just free to be you. But a sign of parentification is that you like feeling in control, which may be one of the reasons why you like hypnosis. No, but I can assure you, and if you're wondering, go check out testimonials on my website. I think they speak for themselves. But you like that. That's a sign of parentification. If you have trouble with playing, like just being a kid, like smiling, having fun, being goofy, letting the guard down, letting your wall down, and just being silly and free to be you. If you have trouble playing or letting loose, like you would love to just go out and be able to just dance like nobody's watching, right? Or just not worry about or constantly be thinking about what you're going to say before you say it, because that's a sign of control. And what are they going to think of me? I can't make a fool of myself. If you have a lot of trouble with just having fun and playing and letting loose, that's a sign of parentification. If you grew up feeling like you had to be responsible, like you grew up in an environment where no one else was responsible and everyone else was toxic and arguing and weren't getting things done, and so it was all on you. That's another sign of parentification. And you may notice the way that it's getting you into situations today that you're tired of getting into, but don't know how to stop, fix, or change it. If you feel like taking care feels good, like taking care of other people feels good, or other things or other situations, even when it's self sacrificing, even when it's detrimental to you, that's a sign of parentification. And yes, of course, naturally it feels good to give. But when you're giving and trying to pour from an empty cup, what you're also giving is resentment, is frustration. You need a balance of being able to give to yourself and give to others. So when taking care feels good, but when it's self-sacrificing and you're off balance and not able to give to yourself, then that's when it becomes a problem. If if you identify as being an empath and overly attuned to other people's needs, you pick up and you feed on and you can feel their energy. I just finished recording today. Our first session, we'll probably do several more with the on call empath. And Raj is his name, the host. He's incredible. He's pulling together a lot of people. And we talked about this, these signs of parentification, where it comes from, how it's all established, this foundation of our lives that gets poured in childhood, right? And what it means to be an empath, and how it means that you can do nothing wrong and be gaslit and manipulated by this abuser, by this narcissist, and then they do all these things to you, like completely bonkers things. Like they call you all the time and they leave horrendous messages and a million messages, and then they make you feel like you've abandoned them, and then all of a sudden things get twisted and you realize you're apologizing for what you did to them, even though you didn't do anything to them, you didn't do anything wrong. But if you identify as an empath and go, I just feel so sorry all the time, I just feel so bad all the time, that's a sign of parentification. If you feel like you need to be the peacemaker and the one that has everyone calm down, sing kumbaya, and get along, and you're uncomfortable with conflict or situations, and you just shut up and you don't say anything and you don't speak your mind. That's a fear-based response, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. The four trauma responses, the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. That's definitely a fawning trauma response, where you take on the role of peacemaker, people pleaser. And if you feel like you go to great lengths and great efforts, but they're never appreciated, they're never recognized, they're never validated, well, the people that you're hoping will recognize them, appreciate them, and validate them, if they are narcissists or very toxic people, you're never going to get that validation. They're going to try to take it on as something that they did, a way that they contributed to your success, especially if any area of your life begins to have success and growth. They're going to either shame you for it, to try and smear you for it, or take on that it's all because of them that you got to do that. So those are lots of signs of parentification. If you feel any of those, then maybe resonate with this term, its definition, its meaning. And when you've experienced parentification, often your identity, your self-worth gets tied to, connected with self-sacrifice. When you grew up in an environment with narcissists, or it was emotionally abusive, emotionally unavailable, toxic people, and you were forced to be the responsible one, the parent, then your identity gets tied to that. And so having a healthy, balanced, stable life as an adult now, because you're no longer a child in that situation, is about untwisting, untying, and not identifying with that anymore, and doing different things in your life, right? Where you can tune into and connect with that childlike experience, that carefree side, that playful side of you, without feeling guilty or without worries of humiliation or shame or judgment, and get into that more balanced, stable structure and feel safe. Feel safe to just be you. And that's what everyone that I've taken through my 6 week full transformation has shared. They've had to have done the work. It's not a magic pill, and it doesn't just happen like that. Of course, you've got to put in the work, but it begins by wanting to change and wanting to go inside of you and break free and untie from these past experiences of having been parentified, so that you can be happy with these qualities that you have, and feel safe, and not just survive, but begin to thrive, and really create your new identity, who you are without these trauma responses, who you are when you're not reacting from a place of shame or guilt or fear or frustration or anger or fears of abandonment, fears of rejection, fears of being alone. And if you're ready for that, I would love to connect with you. Doing the inner work to heal, whether you're calling it inner child work or reparenting yourself, all of that is I believe, imperative to living the best life for you as an adult now who's experienced that stuff in the past as a child. So, hypnosis, rapid transformational therapy, like I said, it allows you to get into the inner unconscious mind where those beliefs, those feelings, those thoughts, those images, those sensations reside, and remove and release them so that you can go on and live a life where you can establish healthy boundaries and not feel guilty, not feel ashamed for just simply doing small little things like standing up for yourself or sticking up for yourself or saying what's on your mind, expressing it first to yourself and then to others, and identifying all of this. So if you've experienced signs of parentification and you connect with this or relate to it and are ready to do something different so that you can live your best life, then I would love to connect with you. You can always find links to other videos that I have in the description below this video and my website as well to learn more about the results that others have gotten by working together. So, like I said, you've got to be ready to do the work first and foremost. But if you've experienced these signs of parentification and maybe some things you've done in the past, maybe past modalities of therapy or meditations just haven't gotten you there, you still feel blocked and stuck in certain ways and are ready to be unstuck, unblocked, then I would love to connect. That's been my experience, and I'm just here to share it with you and connect with you and take you on that journey inside yourself so that you can be free from it. But in order to feel safe, you have to connect with why you felt so unsafe. And sometimes just talking about why you think it is very, very limiting because the conscious mind is limited to only about 5 to 10% of what's actually there. So why not break through that gate, open it, and get into the real meat and potatoes of it? So thank you guys. As always, I appreciate you for tuning in and taking this next step to healing yourself. All right, guys, I'll talk to you again very soon.